We are here, and as we are present here, we ask each one of you to feel into your heart space, as this is a connection of what some call heaven and earth. This is a connection in which you have a finite experience of birth, of life, and of death. And here in this place as well, you have an infinite experience that is even beyond time as you know it and as you call it, into the infinity of your soul's essence. All of the work, all of the journey, all of the play, all of the heartache, and all that you've done in this life has contributed in some beautiful way to the essence of your soul, your spirit. Being in a 3D world, in a body that is very much moving through time and space, you all experience a birth and a growth, a journey of life, and then also a death, a letting go. We are also here to connect you as well as you are already connected, but to illuminate your awareness that you are far more than just this finite form. Yet again though, this finite form is a creation, an expression of your soul, your essence, this infinite part of you that is ever living. And we say this so that you can be gentle on yourself. Not everyone's journey is the same. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different, and everyone has a piece of this grand scheme of the puzzle of what we call the universal expression. Now, how do you express yourself? First and foremost, how you express yourself is the vibration you put out into the world. To express yourself fully and authentically though, there is a key here: to be authentic with yourself, to be truthful to yourself. And when you are truly honest with yourself and truthful with how you feel, how you think, and how you show up for yourself and others, you will begin to open yourself to be able to experience as well your gifts that you've not only accumulated in this life, but that you have accumulated as an essential part of this grand expression of what is the universe that you have accumulated even outside of this timeline or this life's expression. We are speaking much about time because in 2025, you all have a grand capability to recognize that time is in fact fully experiential. Time is how you relate to it. Even though you have a clock that counts for 24 hours or for 12, every single tick will differentiate with each person depending on how they are experiencing time in that moment of their life. When you are doing something you love, time moves very, very fast. When you are doing something you're not so fond of, time will move very, very slow. This is relative, and if you are able to fully open yourself up to realizing that time truly is experiential, then you can begin to open yourself up to expanding beyond the finite experience of this life and only what you have known in this life and experienced. You have experienced much beyond this timeline. Now we can go even deeper here, but again, we are asking each one of you to recognize that time is not as solid as it has been described. And it is now coming into all of your consciousnesses on a very real level that time is very different than what has been taught in the past of Newtonian physics. You all are starting to experience yourself in this time, but this year especially, you may begin to have flashes and even asking yourself, is this real? Where am I? What am I doing here? These are beautiful questions to ask yourself because it begins to expand your heart and your mind to tap into your why. Why are you here? It is so you can have a full expression of yourself in a form of a personality. Each one of you is unique and different. We always love to describe personalities because it is easiest in forms of the elements. You may know people who are very fiery. They are action-oriented. They get in, they clean things up, and sometimes they burn everything up. But it is a beautiful part of their expression. Some of you may know people who are very earthy. They naturally move a little slower, but they are also very nurturing. They're grounding and they create safe spaces. You may also know people that are very much like water. They are very emotional, but their emotional expression almost gives other people the relation of how they can express themselves emotionally. You see, each one of you is unique and different, but the further and further you go out, then you recognize that each one of you has a unique gift. And the beauty of living in time and space is that you get to have the journey. You get to have the expression of an individuality, a personality. And that is the beautiful thing and the gift of time and space, is to have an expression. If you are not in time and space, you are connected with all things. You are one with all things, and that is beautiful. But again, the gift of time is that you get to have expression, unique individuality. And so in knowing this, we also wish to speak to you about judgment, not judging yourself so harshly because you are not like another. This is very powerful, for when you let go of judgment and you move into inspiration instead, then you allow yourself to see what is of service to you and how you wish to live into your life, and what you would rather not express because it is not something you wish to embody. For example, you can be inspired by another person. You can look at their expression and you can say, that inspires me to be my expression. Or you can look at another in judgment or competition and then think to yourself, I do not like that. That is not something I want. But then you judge it in a way where you separate yourself from it. This is very important to recognize, because if you judge harshly, then what you are doing is you're creating separation, but you still have the power of will to choose. And that is the beautiful thing. You can still look at something and make a choice. That does not serve and that serves. And making that clear choice then allows you to be a full expression of an individual you are here, but will also keep you connected to this infinite part of you that is in fact connected to everyone else. So in knowing this, when you allow yourself to be inspired by others, you also uplift your own environment. It will overflow from you. And then you'll begin to surround yourself with people who actually can radiate that inspiration. And when they see you succeed, they clap. They say bravo because they are also in that energy of being inspired by another's success. This will be the ultimate turning point for humanity, and especially in 2025. Some of you whom are into numerology call this the year of 9, the year of completion. This is also a year of possibility, of completing the 9, of letting go of competition and moving into inspiration. Yes, you can still work together and make each other stronger, but it does not have to be in a competitive sense because you feel less than or greater than. You are. This 2025 is about the and. Can I be successful? And can you be successful? And that is the beauty. Or do we always have to judge ourselves one against the other? We do not. This is also at times called the time that is beginning to trickle in of the water bearer. For those who watch the skies, we have moved out of the time of Pisces, which is also the time that has been individualized to the extreme. And now it is a time of moving into community. But if you want to move into community, you must first own your space in yourself. Own your space right now, in the chair in which you sit or wherever you are listening. Give yourself a moment to feel yourself, where you're at. And as you feel yourself there, own your space, be in it. And as you are in your space, open your awareness to even recognize the other people around you. And as they own their space, they take nothing from you, but they can overflow to you a space where you can all express yourself. The beauty with time and space is you get to exchange energy with another being, another unique being that can have their expression, that can teach you, that you can grow with, and that can push you in ways where maybe you wouldn't grow on your own. And that is the beauty. That is the beauty. This human experience sometimes can seem quite hard because you feel separated from yourself, your source. But we are here to tell you, you are always connected. But if you own your space in the great big scheme of the universe, feel yourself in this moment, feel yourself in the body, and then look around and feel other people. Instead of seeing them there as a nuisance, allow yourself to see them there as a blessing. There is enough space for everyone. There is no limit on space. But the only one that can limit the space you sit in is you, by not claiming your space fully, by not fully accepting yourself. And this will lead us to the next thing, is fully loving yourself. As you love yourself, you will allow yourself to own your space. Now again, we have been speaking a bit about individuality and personality and becoming an individual expression. If you choose certain characteristics to come into this life, then you are also choosing strengths as well as shortcomings. The beautiful thing is that someone else is choosing their own strengths and shortcomings as well that can compromise and balance out yours if you so choose to come in relationship with them. Again, this is the beauty. You don't have to do it all, but you can work together in community to actually express your gifts, but then to also enjoy another's gifts. If you find yourself possibly looking at another and seeing them shining in a way that you don't shine, notice how you react. Are you inspired, or do you feel less than or jump into judgment? If you find yourself feeling less than or jumping into judgment or separation, then stop for a moment, take a breath, and recognize that it's beautiful that you actually don't have to do it all, that there are other beings that want to create space for them to express their gifts as well. This is something amazing and incredible. That is, again, what you are all stepping into as a possibility. For the water bearer is the one also who represents water. Water takes on many forms. It can be a liquid, it can be frozen, it can be an ice, and it can be a steam, but it's still all water. Every single one of you are an expression of the divine. You are in essence a soul having a human experience, and in that you have chosen strengths and weaknesses. Now again, coming back to loving yourself, love as well your weaknesses. This is part of being honest with yourself. If you know your weaknesses and you accept them and knowing what they are, then when someone shows up with a strength that can balance out your weakness, instead of you fighting against it or feeling less than, you can recognize it as an actual gift that they are giving you so that you can have a relationship with them, and you can also show up in a way for them that they may have a weakness. And the weakness does not mean that you are less than anything. It means you are an individual. And you now have a piece that can connect together with another human being. And in that relationship, you can create an expression that is beautiful and profound. So allow yourself to continue to focus on these few things. And even though it may seem simple, it is the simplest things that can have the most profound effect. Often you have even called this the butterfly effect on your planet Earth. Even you taking yourself a moment to just be present in your own space and own your space will in fact shift your entire perspective. So you will not take yourself out of the equation, but you will put yourself into the equation, and you will let others hold their space in that equation as well. And what is this equation? Coming together as individual expressions that also allow space for others to have their expression, that then you co-create together and everybody thrives. This is what is possible if you but allow yourself that opportunity. Now, with all we have said, we also wish to open up the space to any questions, either concerning what we have spoke about or anything else that comes up from your heart. If you feel you would like to ask, then feel free at this time to let your voice be heard. The floor is yours.
Question around action steps for this year.
Action steps for this year is to truly be honest with yourself. When you're honest with yourself in how you feel and how you are thinking, then you will allow yourself that opportunity to also recognize that every thought and feeling doesn't have to have a reaction, that it can simply be. If you allow yourself to be honest with how you feel in a moment or how you're thinking in a moment, and you give yourself that small time and space to be honest with yourself, you may recognize that when you actually call what it is you're feeling, what it is, that you will find that that's all that was needed. It is simply information. For example, if I am feeling sad, but maybe I have a judgment that I can't be sad because I am an energy worker, I am always happy. You can be honest with yourself and say, I am sad. Why am I sad? I am sad because of this and this and this. That is beautiful to know. Thank you, sadness, for the information. Physically blow it out. And this is just an example. And then you will find that it may be released that quickly. Every emotion and every thought is simply information. Sometimes when we don't let ourselves feel or really hear that thought and we stop spinning on it, then we don't really let ourselves feel that. Think about this. If you stop and really acknowledge, I am sad, instead of feeling sadness but then trying to distract yourself real quick, but you stop and say, I'm feeling sad. Why am I feeling sad? And then you really tune in. You get the information of why you're sad and you say thank you. You take a deep breath in and you exhale, blow it out. All the emotions, the thoughts you have, again, is information. So this is the action step. Be honest with yourself in how you're thinking and how you're feeling. And when you're honest with yourself in that way and you allow yourself to feel or think for that moment, you may actually find yourself not necessarily having to react from the thought or having to react from the feeling. It just simply wanted to be heard or felt. Are we clear?
Yes,
You're welcome.
I have a question around the purpose for the frequency of my voice.
The frequency of your voice is unique, and only those who really want to connect with another person from their heart, from their soul, will hear you. Those that egotistically or want to connect to other people to get something will have a hard time hearing you. You may often have experienced this where you speak, but people don't seem to hear you. It is not necessarily because you get to shift your voice. It is how someone is receiving you. Let us ask you a question. Do you like your voice?
Yes.
That is what is important. Sometimes we have characteristics, whether it's our voice or the way we look, the way we act, that is actually a beautiful filter in this world. Since your voice is very soft, those who are plowing through life, who are in it for themselves, will have a very hard time hearing you. This is actually a gift, a tool that you have brought into your space into this lifetime. It is very important that you notice those that don't hear you, or that tell you to speak up, or that tell you you need to be louder. These are actually people who may not serve you in being in your space, because those who really want to connect with you, they will connect with you because they enjoy your voice. They're actually looking for connection, and your softness pulls them in. They want to get to know you, not change you. Is this familiar? So allow your voice and the way you speak to actually be a filter. And if someone is not hearing you, then let yourself notice and really tap in. If this person isn't hearing me, should I still keep trying to explain myself to them? Or do I just get to accept the fact that they cannot hear me because we are not on the same level. It is not right, it is not wrong. I am not above or below. We are just not connecting. Again, your voice is actually the unique thing about you that will pull people in, or for those who would not be served and whom you would not be served by having in your life, will skip over you. That is the gift. So keep embracing your voice. It is actually something that pulls the perfect people to you. Are we clear?
Yes. What's the relationship between manifesting our desires and the seemingly disparate Buddhist concept of non-attachment?
This is a fascinating question. For you have to come back to what is one's will and what is God's will, as it has been called. And you can substitute God for source, universe, or whatever works for you. But this is an idea that our will as an expression of being human is different than God's will or universal will. Now, are they different? That depends on how close you are connected to your essence, your soul, and your source. The closer you are connected to your own spirit and your soul, you recognize that your will and divine wills is actually the same thing. They are not different. But if one is still working on connecting to their heart and their soul, and they have not yet really experienced that connection, then they will continue to see God's will and their will as being separate. Now, when it comes to non-attachment, there is an interesting concept here, because you can have some people move into non-attachment that will actually detach them from all of life. And you can see many of these people who almost become addicted to meditation and being alone. And they say they have mastered detachment. But in essence, it is easy to be detached and to have a smooth surface if you're not interacting with anyone. So when it comes to non-attachment, it is actually about not grasping or forcing someone to stay in your life or something, because this life, especially this 3D earth realm that you live in, its constant is change. And this idea of non-attachment in its pure essence is actually connected to really one of the major golden rules of being on earth, is that everything changes. And knowing this idea of non-attachment is actually better said to allow yourself to be fully present in the moment and to feel that moment for what it is and who is there in that moment and connecting with them fully. Sometimes people will actually experience sadness in one of the happiest moments of their life because their mind might jump right away to this moment will end. And thus they taint that moment of pure joy because they know that it will end. Yes, this world is about change, and this non-attachment is actually a beautiful gift to recognize that the constant is change, but you can actually change with the change. Here's what's interesting, is because sometimes when we say the constant is change, everyone's mind goes outside of themselves and they see the whole world and everyone changing all around them, but they don't look at them. They are changing as well. That is the human experience. So non-attachment in its pure sense of the Buddhist philosophy is to actually recognize that everything changes. And when you know that, you can actually fully be present and fully enjoy a moment without the mind hopping in and tainting it with sadness, because it will end. And thank God. Think of yourself in a moment of pure joy. Amazing. Now think of living it for eternity. At some point, it may begin to get a little tainted from that pure joy. So the beauty here is change. This also is connecting to your will. And your will and Divine's will, the closer you are connected to your essence, your spirit, your source, you will then recognize they are one and the same thing. But if you see yourself as separate from yourself, your spirit, your soul, or source, then it will seem as if there's two wills fighting each other. But they are not. They are one in the same. Know this, and as you connect there, your will and the divine will are connected, and they are in fact the same thing. Have we answered your question?
Got me thinking differently. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
I have a question about connectedness. It's hard to connect with people when you build walls. The walls are important to protect yourself if you've been in situations that are not serving you. How do you put those walls down, and when do you know the appropriate times?
This is a very good question. And we wish to give you an empowering answer. People have, especially if they have not been taught how to truly own their space, respect themselves, they have been taught to protect themselves, to put up a wall in order to separate themselves from someone whom they wish not to exchange energy with. Yet, we do have a different way or paradigm or shift in perspective to talk about when it comes to this. If you truly own all of your space, you love yourself and you respect yourself, that will overflow from you. And if someone pushes up against you and challenges your boundaries, as you call it, you will actually not necessarily even have to fight them. You simply stand up. That is a very different energy. You have fighting and you have stand up. When you stand up for yourself, you claim your space and you say, this is not acceptable. But if I put up a wall and say I have to protect myself from you, right there I am claiming that someone else may have more power than me. But I can stand up and say, this is not okay. I will not take this. That is very different in its underlining energy. You can feel it. And then in that, you will begin to notice that you don't have to build so many walls, because people, either consciously or unconsciously, will actually pick up that you are someone who owns your space. And there is no wall to push against, because you owning your space, standing up for yourself, and knowing what works for you and what does not is strength. And that undercurrent of energy will send a signal out that people will recognize there are no walls to push against. There is nothing to push against, because this person simply owns all of their space. It is a very different energy. We spoke about this a bit when you were sitting in your chair, and we told you, own your space. Don't only own the space in front of you, but own the space to the left, the right, behind you, above you, and below you. Feel yourself in a sphere, and feel yourself owning all of your space. And then in this way, you actually don't have to put up a wall. You will simply sense, this is serving me and this is not. And you will stand up which again is very different than fighting. It is hard and exhausting to hold up walls, especially if you've built a lot of walls. So we ask you to possibly look at it a little different. Instead of a wall, think of it as owning your space, of standing up. And when you stand up, then your self-respect and your self-empowerment will naturally radiate out and will be a force or a force field, because that's what you are creating. And that force field will also then allow other people to get in who actually will respect you and will actually see you for who you are. Sometimes if we feel we need to build walls, we will actually block people who we would be benefited from having relationship with. But if we respect ourselves, if we love ourselves and stand up for ourselves, it is more like a fluid expression. Well, then those who come in that have respect for themselves and will respect us can easily come in and won't hit a wall, because there's no wall to hit. It is simply a vibrational pattern that matches. Are we clear? Thank you. We have time for a few more questions.
I have a question regarding the channeling. If there's, in many channelings that I went to, they've come as a group, through the person, this time with Holly, as a name. Can you share how that was developed through Holly, and if there's a group or a person that's being channeled, share that, please.
Yes, we call ourselves Source. And as Holly mentioned very briefly, as we are connected and as we are all in the same space, this channel as Source is everyone's essence and higher self coming through. Holly simply is the mouthpiece, and the information and all of the energy that is coming here is because all of you chose to show up in this space. You chose to support yourself, but also to support each other. And in that pure intention, this is what created this channel. Now, how Holly developed this is quite the journey, as her body had to get used to the vibrational energy, and it took some time. It began with an individual, and then it expanded into a group. And then on December 21st, 2012, at 4:11 a.m. in the morning, we came in. And we came in from the space of pure essence, for the space where we are all connected. We are all one. And in this space of wholeness, in this space we speak, for each one of you is connected here. Your presence and your life speaks to it. And as such, this is the place in which we channel from. And though we must use your language, and we say we, expand the perception. We is all of us here in this space, receiving this message. And as we've talked about with time and space, is not necessarily linear. Even anyone who may come across this recording, no matter if it's after this moment of time, will receive whatever may serve them, for this is always the intention. As you as well can channel and have tapped into many things, there are beautiful ways that everyone can channel. The reason why this channel has come to what we call Source is that we also wish to allow people to recognize that there is no more middleman needed. You all can go straight to the Source. It is not a being as in a personality, because at times when someone or something shows up this way, it begins to get worshipped as outside of them. We are here to tell you it is not. It is inside of you. And again, each one of you make this channel. There is not one of you that is higher or lower than anyone else here. And because of this, your pure intention to just show up, even just out of curiosity, or even just out of the invitation of someone continuing to bug you to come, you came, you showed up, and that is 90% of the work, as many of you have been on a pathway of self-improvement and self-awareness. Keep showing up. And as you do so and have that courage, then whatever you may need on the path in that moment of time will come to you. So in this channel, again, we speak as one and we are source. And if you think of source, the source is as well inside each and every one of you. Welcome to the way of illumination, where every individual expression is connected with source. It is different, it is unique, and it is all one. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Thank you for asking.
I have a question. So it's kind of a crazy time in the world if you're, worried about the 3D world. What should we, and hopefully we're, more self-aware and not worried about it, but what can we expect and what should we try to avoid to maybe not have some of the anxiety and worries about where the world is going? Like, are there any things we should look out for and just dismiss and let go?
If you look at your world, even in the time that you have lived, this lifetime, has there ever actually been a period of peace entirely on the earth? Every single generation and moment has had what they call the most trying of times. Now in that, this is a very real thing that you're all stepping into, for great change is upon all of us. But again, as we are here to tell you, every single moment of every single day, you can find a war. You can find a separation. You can find a human being being unkind to another human being. And at the very same time, you can also zoom in on a human being being kind to another human being, on a place on your earth that has peace for a moment. What we are saying here is that if you are always looking to be safe from the outside world in, good luck. The only one who can truly create a safe space for you is you. Now there can be support along the way and beings who come into your journey, who create safe spaces for you. But they create those safe spaces for you to heal so that you can become a safe space. First and foremost, though, you get to create a safe space for yourself. And then you can overflow that to your current environment. And then people can feel a moment of peace, of a safe space. And then that can trigger something in them to heal, to grow, to learn. And then in time, to also create a safe space for them. That can then again ripple out from them to creating a safe space for others. Now, a safe space as well, this is a concept that you are shifting, just like what is love. Love does not mean you are a doormat and you let everyone walk over you. Love actually is very wise. Love can be tough. It can be soft. It can be honest. It can be nurturing. But love has a deep divine wisdom to know what is needed in every single moment. So, in this time, as you are asking a very real question about what are we doing? Is there going to be a great war? Is there great turmoil with the shifting of governments? There will always be people fighting over certain toys and certain things. Yet again, allow yourself to create a safe space for you. And when you feel safe, you create safe spaces for others. When they feel safe, they create a safe space for them. And again, we'll create a safe space for others. Now, those that are working on what you call the political realm or world leaders, they have a big role to play, as do you. There is not one who has a greater role than the other. But we are telling you, the most profound effect you can have on this world and in your space is exactly where you're sitting right now. Exactly who you're sitting next to right now. And exactly who you're going to go home to and interact with in the days, the weeks, the years, and the lifetime to come. Everyone will die. Now the question is, how will you feel before you take that last breath? And what will you remember? What will have meaning to you? This is an important question to ask yourself, especially when the world appears to be in great turmoil. Are you running around in fear and trying to save all the things around you to feel safe? Or are you actually creating a safe space that you will then sit with at the last breath and say, that was beautiful. I'm glad I did that. Know if you come from fear, and it is okay to come from fear. The most beautiful thing is to recognize when you come from fear. When you come from fear, your vision will quite literally narrow. And as it narrows, you will begin to miss the forest for the trees. And you will begin to move into reaction much more. So moving out of fear, not because you are dense and want to sit in la la land, but moving out of fear because when you are relaxed and when you feel safe in your own space, you can see the entire picture. You can see the games being played, and you can receive intuition and insight about what to do for you and those you're in relationship and where you currently are. Now, this might seem kind of like a fluff answer to your question, but this is how you change the world. Create a safe space for you and others, and recognize that safe space only has so much to do with your food, your housing, and it has a lot more to do with the environment and the people that you're interacting with. Now in this know, everyone is playing their part. Again, this is a 9-year. It is completion. Get ready for the fireworks. For at the end of the finale, what do you have? The great big show. And then everyone forgets about it the next year. We have time for one more if anybody feels the desire.
I'm not quite sure what to ask, but I'm due to have a baby this year, and I'm curious what, I guess, she's been moving this whole time. So I don't know if there's any messages that the children have coming into this year can bring us, or advice that you have for new parents.
These children coming in will be very hard to push around. And we are generalizing, of course, but you can look at certain eras and you can have distinctions to their personality, which is unique to them, but also to the environment of the world that they grew up in. Now, the children coming forward now, as we mentioned, will have a very hard time being pushed around because they won't tolerate much. They won't tolerate much because, believe it or not, they will learn to distinctly know whether something is fake or real. How can we say this? Because right now, the lines are being blurred between artificial intelligence and humanity. And right now, sometimes it can be confusing to see what is real and what is not. And this is simply a transitionary time where those coming forward, as far as the children, they will actually have a deep intuition that they will trust, probably more than the last few hundred years of the beings coming forward, that they will trust this is fake, no matter how real it may appear. Because when you have something on the outside growing to deceive, you will also have the inner senses grow to tell truth. So not only will they be harder to push around, they will be very instinctive, and they will not feel they have to explain themselves, because they will simply say, I just feel that, and that is enough for them. And because they are so strong-willed, they won't feel as if they have to explain themselves. But we are telling you that the intuition has the capability to, in fact, grow because of what is going on in the world right now. Consciousness shifts depending on what is going on in the world, not only with the people who are here, but the people who are coming in. They know what they're getting into, and so they set themselves up quite beautifully. And these beings will be much more intuitive, but again, they will not feel they need to explain themselves, and they will be quite hard-headed. Now we are coming to completion. Thank you all for coming forward and for sharing this channel and for giving us the blessing of you. Truly, thank you for showing up. And until we meet again, we'll bid you farewell. Oh, it's always the weirdest part. Oh my goodness, thank you all. So a lot of times I'll be seeing different things too when I'm in it. It's like I'm in this 3D holographic movie. It's quite awesome, especially with the baby. Oh my gosh, it was like, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And I'm enhancing my spider senses. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, wait, is this a representation of a lot of the people coming in? It's like, oh yeah, we know what we're getting into. So that was really cool. And even the setting up of the consciousness as it has waves where it's like, okay, here's what's going on Earth. Even the spirits that are coming in, it's like they know what they're coming into. So they're actually setting themselves up beautifully in a way to be like, all right, we know what we're getting into. So we're just going to flow right in and set ourselves up, if we so choose, for success. And that was really cool to see. And oh my gosh, the fireworks. I just saw these fireworks, and it's like a big number 9, like woo! It's like, oh, it always goes off with a bang. And then you forget it the next year. It's like, yeah, there we go. And especially too, even with on Earth, when it's like, okay, has there ever, in a moment of Earth, the whole thing been in peace? I was like, oh yeah, no. But then it's like I was looking at the whole Earth, and then I had a magnifying glass, and then it zoomed in, and it's like, but does this spot have peace? And it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, and does this spot have peace? Yeah. This spot have war? Oh yeah, yeah. But then it was like where it was focusing on, and especially that safe space for you was so important. And that's going to be different for everyone. But feeling like you're creating a safe space for you, you know, it might be the outer environment that you're in, but that was really important. And again, that safe space, when you feel you have a safe space for you, then that overflows from you. And I just saw people like just, as they come into your space, just, oh God, thank you. Like it was just a deep exhale. So that was really beautiful also. So that's just a lot of what I saw there. And then when you asked about the channel, oh my God, I've actually never seen it this way. But when you asked about the channel, I saw everyone's white light just coming in into like this Tarosian field. It was just coming through everyone's body and just going, and I was like, whoa! It was like, it was everyone. And so thank you for that question. That was cool that I got to experience that and see it in that way. So that was really awesome. And last thing too was really I felt it so deeply, was the aspect of we are source, right? And it's beautiful to have support along the way, but this idea of some being or thing having more power for you than you do is not necessarily what is going to really shift us into the next paradigm. Yes, we have teachers and support along the way, like thank God, that's amazing. But it's no more powerful or profound than you. It's just different, and it can support you. So that was really powerful too. So thank you. Anything you want to add? Thanks for grounding the channel. Mike's my grounder, so.